I invested $500 into a new dividend ETF that pays out every single week, and what happened over the past month genuinely surprised me. This ETF is called WPAY, and it's a part of Roundhill Investment, who are known for pushing the boundaries on income generation with their leveraged high-yield ETFs. In today's video, I'll show you how this fund works, what makes it unique, the risks involved, and finally, I'll reveal how much my $500 investment paid me over the last 4 weeks. WPAY stands for the Weekly Pay Universe ETF, created by Roundhill, and it's getting a lot of attention recently for two big reasons. First, it pays dividends weekly, not monthly or quarterly like most ETFs. Second, it's showing a very high yield right now, roughly 70% when annualized. Now, this number changes often because it's based on the trailing 12-month dividend payments and the current share price, but it's still shockingly high. This high yield instantly caught my attention. Throughout 2025, I've been testing other weekly paying ETFs like YMAX and ULTY from YieldMax, and my results so far have been surprisingly positive. Those funds have proved that you can generate steady income week after week as long as you can stomach the NAV erosion. But seeing WPAY take a similar concept and apply it across multiple single stock ETFs really got me interested. It's similar to YMAX, since it's not tied to one single stock ETF. But here's the twist. Roundhill's underlying funds use leverage, which gives WPAY a lot more upside potential when it comes to weekly cash flow. So what exactly does WPAY hold? Remember, this is a fund of funds, meaning that it doesn't hold individual stocks directly. Instead, it owns all of Roundhill's weekly pay ETFs, which cover some big names like Broadcom, Google, Apple, Amazon, MicroStrategy, and more. Most of these ETFs only launched in 2025, so we're still in pretty new territory here. But we already have some early performance data that gives us a glimpse of how they've been doing, and it's pretty interesting. Now, these funds sound pretty impressive, with high upside potential thanks to their leverage strategy. But what's the catch? Well, high yield ETFs often face something called NAV erosion, a gradual decline in share price as they continue paying out large dividends. And in Roundhill's case, the use of leverage can amplify both the gains and the losses, which makes these funds a lot more volatile. For me personally, these risks were worth exploring, but only with a small position. I decided to put in $500 as an experiment, and now it's time to show you what happened after 4 weeks of holding this ETF. I made my purchase on September 8th, 2025 with just $500, and that got me about 9.6 shares at $51.96 each. Since then, I've received 4 weekly dividends: $5.23, $4.99, $8.65, and $7.32. That's a total of $26 in just 1 month, about a 5.24% return on the initial investment. And I've been reinvesting all of these dividends back into WPAY to keep the compounding going. Now, the next question you might have is, how has the NAV performed during this time? These funds are often known for that NAV erosion, as we mentioned earlier, but my experience with WPAY hasn't been quite the same. The share price has actually been climbing steadily, reaching as high as $55 per share. Of course, with the broader market pulling back on Friday, October 10th, WPAY was also affected. At the time of recording, it's trading around $53 per share, so still slightly above my initial purchase price around $51.96. So not only am I up on the NAV, but I've also earned an additional $2.67 per share in dividends. Now, considering both the slight increase in the share price and the dividends I've collected so far, my total return on WPAY comes out to 6.6%. That's actually one of the highest 1-month returns I've seen on this channel from any of my other ETF experiments. Of course, this is just 1 month of data, and things can change quickly with high yield funds like this, so it's not enough information for me to confidently add more just yet, but it's definitely a strong start. So overall, this fund has delivered a solid total return for me in its first 20 days, and it's clearly catching the eyes of a lot of other investors as well. When I first bought in, WPAY had around $20 million in assets under management, but since then that number has exploded to over 220 million. That kind of growth shows you just how much popularity this fund is gaining. I've also picked up a few of the other single stock Roundhill ETFs, so if you want to see how those perform over the next few weeks, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. So what do you think about WPAY? Is this an ETF you'd consider adding, or do you prefer other options like YieldMax? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see how this fund performs for me at the 40 and 60 day marks.